and welcome to Exchanger TV. I'm Suzanne Chadwick, founder of the Connection Exchange, helping you build a business and career to love. And as you may know, I'm doing some really awesome interviews with different entrepreneurs and women that I come in contact with that I just think they've got an amazing message to share. So today I'm really thrilled to be joined by Stephanie Demetrious. Hey Steph.
Yeah, hi, how you doing? Good, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So Steph and I actually met through a blogging group earlier this year. No, last year. And I've just been so curious about a lot of the things that Steph's been doing, and just to give you a little bit of an overview, Stephanie is a kinesiologist and a Reiki practitioner, and I hadn't really come in contact with anybody that had done kinesiology before. So the first time we met, which was at a picnic, I was just like, so what is kinesiology? And we had such a great conversation about it, and we're definitely going to be talking a lot more about that today. And then recently I also attended a workshop that Steph and a girlfriend of yours put on, which was called Rejuvenation, Kinesiology and Yoga Workshop, which I know that you're going to be running more of those here in Melbourne, which is exciting. And we'll have all of the links below for that if people are in Melbourne, or really if you're anywhere in Australia and you want to fly in for those, that would be...
Come on in.
Come on in. Absolutely. So today we're really going to be talking about, one of the things that Steph talked about at the workshop was how you can really almost train your mind to do the things that you want to do in life. And as you know, I do talk a lot about shipping it, getting your ideas out there, and really working to get through that resistance and fear. And I just think that the way that you talk about it, Steph, is so interesting. And I just really wanted to share that with I guess, my community, and you know, your story as well. So thanks so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So Steph, do you want to start off and just give us a bit of an overview on your story and your background, because I do kind of love it.
Yeah, sure. So I started off as a myotherapist, and then I did my Pilates and personal training courses to add those in, and I was always very physically based, and you know, treating lots of clients, getting good results. But then I injured myself running. I was training for a half marathon and did all the rehab and got myself back to feeling really good physically. I had 6 months off, and then the day I went back to start running again, I just could hear those thoughts in my head, what if that pain comes back? I was so fearful because I nearly had a stress fracture, and I went for my run. As soon as I started running, that first step, I felt that pain, and instantly I thought, that's not physical, because I've done all the rehabs, you know, to the letter. I followed everything. So I just kind of thought, this is in my head. I built this fear up, or this pain in my head just by thinking about it. So I went to see a kinesiologist, and for the first time ever, and I just blew my socks off. It was amazing. Within one session, I walked out feeling like I had nothing in my head. I was floating on clouds. I felt so peaceful and relaxed. But I ran the next day and didn't have the pain, and I have never had it back since after one session. And for me, being a physical practitioner, I just kind of thought, what are my clients missing out on? Like, I am addressing all the physical side of things, but there's this, you know, there's this emotional and mental and this ego and head side of things that I was totally missing, and it changed my perspective on how I wanted to work as a practitioner and the direction I wanted to head as well. So fantastic. It's pretty powerful.
And we did, you know, we were just talking before about the fact that, you know, when we do things, a lot of it is mental, like sort of, you know, 70-80% of it is really about the mental, your mental ability to really overcome whatever it is that, you know, you're dealing with. And the physical side is obviously very important, but that mental side can really make a big difference.
Well, they did do studies to show as well that that athletes can train up to, I think it's 50 to 60% of their training can be visual. So that's without even stepping foot on a bike, in a pool, running, anything like that, in a gym. It can be mental. And I heard this years ago, and I thought, that's crazy, I don't understand that. And now I'm like, you know, sort of teaching it to people, but it is so powerful that our minds are so much more powerful than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
But there's also this ego that kind of tries to block everything. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that today as well, about a few tips about how you can be aware of your ego and your thoughts, and you know, how you can put a few things into place to try and move through them so that you can achieve what you want, because we've all got it inside us, and it's so powerful once you understand that knowledge, you know, as to how to apply it. And
so let's talk about that, because I do love it, and you did talk about it at your workshop. So you know, you were talking about visualization and affirmations and really building those positive messages in your own mind to move yourself forward. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
So with all that, there's a few things we could break it down to, I suppose. One of them is I think it's really powerful, as I said, once you understand how your mind works, that, you know, you have that control over it, and you can go, okay, well, I understand this is my ego, and these are the thoughts that my ego is feeding me, and that's how that makes me feel.
So when you say ego, explain what you mean by that.
So ego, I mean anything that doesn't feel flowing and easy and just like it's meant to happen for you.
Yeah.
So ego likes to dress itself up. I kind of like to look at it almost like a little chameleon. It changes colors, and you know, it comes across as fear, and then it comes across as doubt, and it comes across as comparison,
and it comes. So it's that sort of internal monologue that's going on for you whenever you're trying to do something. It's the whole thing of, well, you'll never do that.
Yeah, like, you know, who's going to come to your workshop, and who wants to listen to you speak, and all these things that we all come across in everyday life. And it's just knowing that that's not real. That's not the essence of who we are. It's just our mind, and that gets conditioned through, as we grow up, our beliefs. I think in the first 5 years, our belief systems are developed, and they're developed from everyone around us. You know, we go to school, we get influenced by kids at school and teachers and all that kind of thing. So we're constantly, and the media is huge too, social media, newspapers, news, radio, TV, all that kind of thing is huge in telling us how we should live life. But I'm a big believer in coming back to what feels right for you in life, and letting go of those thoughts, and that reel in your head that keeps going round and round and round, that's telling you can't do it, or it's telling you that no one's going to want your product, or no one's going to want to listen to you. And it's just identifying that.
Amazing. Because I remember speaking about this such a long time ago, feels like a long time ago, because Seth Godin talks about this as well, the lizard brain. And he talks, you know, and I think in a video quite a while ago I was sort of saying, you know, when you're really looking to ship it and do something, that's when all those voices will come in. And it's almost like an outward thing that I do, and that I recommended to, you know, people that I coach and work with, is say out loud, I hear you, and I understand, but I'm going to choose not to listen to that. And really acknowledge it, because I think it's when we just pretend that it's not there and it just keeps going that it can really become overwhelming. But I think when you acknowledge it and you go, yep, I know that, you know, I could fail, or it may not work, or whatever, but you know something, I'm going to give it a go, and I'm going to do it anyway, and really almost kind of take the bull by the horns, and you know, make sure that you still do the things that you really want to do.
Totally. And I think there's so much clarity in accepting what is. Like Eckhart Tolle is one of my favorite authors, and I saw him last year live, and oh my gosh, I didn't expect to laugh, but he was the funniest little guy I've ever seen. He was like a comedian. But he talks about accepting everything, and the more you resist things, the more they persist. So whatever you keep pushing down and pretending, no, it's not there, it's going to come back tenfold until you learn the lesson and you step through it. So definitely accepting and going, all right. I almost talk to my ego like it's this, you know, little monster on my shoulder, and say, okay, you know, you're telling me I can't do it, and you're telling me that no one's going to come to my workshop, but to me that feels right for me to do it. So
and then it's sold out, you know, so that little devil can just
you can shove it.
Absolutely. So we were talking about the ego, and that, you know, obviously that plays a part, and so not listening to that. And so what else are we?
I think one part of it too is I like to look at our thoughts as almost like an iceberg. So you've got the little bit of the iceberg you can see on top of the water, which is your conscious thoughts. It's what we're aware of floating around our head, and you know, what we hear kind of coming in the background when we're doing other things during the day. And then under the water is that you know, that big part of the iceberg that you can't see, which is our subconscious, and there's so much stuff flying around there. And that is just, that's kind of like on loop and repeat from, you know, different things we've chosen to believe about ourselves, maybe other people have told us, or that, you know, our internal ego has told us. And it's yeah, if you can kind of find what works for you and find how you want to visualize it. You know, it might be something totally different to that, but I'm quite visual, so I like to look at things. And
I'm the same.
Yeah, and I think an iceberg's a great way to look at it, because there's all this stuff going on in your subconscious that you know you can tap into. It's just starting to be aware of what those thoughts are flowing through your head. And one of the most powerful things is that we did a little prac at the workshop where I got you guys to try and be happy really quickly and then try and be sad straight away. And to do those things, you have to have a thought. So our thoughts precede everything that we feel. So when we feel crappy and deflated, or when we feel really happy and, you know, really ecstatic and something's happening, there's always a thought that happens before that. So it's just, I suppose the first step to any of this stuff, to starting to understand and apply it, will be to start to be aware. Just start to be aware of how you're feeling, and start to go, okay, what was I thinking before I felt that? Yeah. You know, did I have these negative thoughts about, you know, I can't do this? Is that why I'm feeling like deflated and like I don't want to go and do any work today? Or, you know, was I pumping myself up and saying, yeah, this is amazing, and, you know, you've had this massive productive day. So, just starting to be aware of those things is, you know, it's simple, but it's hard at the same time, because it's just allowing yourself to have that presence and just to be in the moment, and to just start to pay attention, because we can all pay attention to those thoughts.
My husband will be laughing when he watches this, because I sit across the desk going, today is going to be a good day, it's going to be awesome, I'm going to get this done. And he's just like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm going to do this. You know, even though I may not feel it, I'm like, if I verbally say it out loud and I like pump myself, I'm like, okay, let's go, sort of thing. I just think, okay, I'm kind of got to be responsible for driving myself, because nobody else is going to do it for you, unless you've got a paid trainer or something. You know, it's really up to you to realize what's going to impact you in a positive way, and then try and really, you know, do that so that you can achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. So let's talk about, you know, what we can do around, you know, the affirmations and bringing those positive mindsets, you know, to the party to really help us to get those things done. Yeah, so I suppose it kind of starts with neural pathways, which I love this stuff. It's so exciting. And I think once you understand this, it gives you the power to change things in your life, and we all have that inside us. It's just understanding how your brain works and then starting to apply it. And you don't have to do, you know, 20 actions in one day. Start with one thing that resonates with you and that feels good. I love reading self-development books and all those kind of things, but sometimes I get a bit overwhelmed because they throw 20 things at you, whereas I'm just big on going, okay, I read it, this one feels good to me, I'll just focus on that. So the first thing to be aware of is that we have these things called neural pathways in our brain, and they're like little bridges. And for every new thing we do, we create a new bridge. So the first time, I've got an 18-month son at home, so a lot of my examples are based around watching little kids learn things. So, you know, the first time he picked up a spoon, he didn't get it in his mouth, it went in his face, and then, you know, the next time he might have got it in his mouth twice, and then the next time 3 times, and then a week later, you know, he's nailed it. So each time we practice something, we send like a little spark across that bridge, and we strengthen that bridge. And the more times you practice that and you strengthen that bridge, and you can do that by physically practicing the action or actually visualizing it, like closing your eyes and watching yourself do it. They both work to strengthen your pathways. Amazing. But it works for the opposite as well. So if you're constantly beating yourself up in your head and you're constantly, you know, feeding these negative thoughts, you're going to get bigger bridges for those negative thoughts and that lack of belief or whatever it is. But the amazing thing is that our minds and our brains are plastic. So there's this term flying around, neuroplasticity, which is where we can actually, you know, it's like Play-Doh, we can actually change the structure of our brains by consciously starting to be aware of what those thoughts are. So if you've got a thought that's like, I don't believe in myself, and you strengthen that for years and years and years and years, and you feel stuck and you feel like you're never going to change, you can change it. If you can just start to be aware of, even, you know, that the affirmations are saying to yourself, you know, I believe in myself. And even if you don't believe it to start with, just keep saying it. Just keep saying it over again. So, and I mean, there is a bit of a, I don't know what the word is. There is something that can override that, which is, you know, if you say something too much, it loses its meaning. So you've got to be very aware to not just sit there and go, I believe in myself, I believe in myself. But, you know, it's just start to make it part of your day. So write it on your mirror at home, have it on sticky notes, on, you know, on your car steering wheel, on your computer screen.
you know, take a photo of it, write it down, and have it on your back, you know, your screen of your phone. Just see it as well. If you can see it around, you'll just start to pick up on the vibration of that word, which is something else I wanted to talk to as well with the water. But yeah, going back to the neural pathways. So it's basically, there's this quote that I read that's about feeding the thoughts that you choose to feed. So you can either choose to water the weeds or water the flowers. So it depends what you want to grow in your mind. So if you want to water the weeds, then, you know, keep focusing on those negative thoughts, and you can feel it when you focus on those things. Whereas if you start to focus on, I believe that I can do this, or I'm going to try and do it, or I'm going to take one step forward, and just starting with the little things, you create a new neural pathway. And how your brain actually changes is that when you start to focus on the positive thought, the less attention you give to that one that's saying, I don't believe in myself, the more it actually starts to die off. So the less little sparks you shoot over that bridge, the smaller it actually gets. And kinesiology, sort of from an energetic point of view, can actually help you kind of fast track that. It helps track down the emotion that's sitting in your system that's keeping you in that loop of that negative thought. And it just helps to kind of disable it, and you can kind of blow that bridge down a whole lot quicker. And we can do that with visualizing too. So, you know, with kinesiology, there's lots that you go to a kinesiology for practically, but one of the biggest things that I teach my clients is how to visualize, and that we can do it all ourselves as well. So it's quite a powerful technique in that way. Yeah.
And so obviously you did touch on the water, because I thought that was really interesting, and you passed the book around at the workshop as well to show you talk about it, but I was like, that's really, never heard that before.
Yeah, I found this guy in a DVD called What the Bleep Do We Know? And it's all based on neuroscience and biophysics and all that stuff that, you know, 90% of it goes over my head, but I picked up a few things and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And this guy called Mr.Emotos, and look up on YouTube as well, you can look up the water experiment.
I'll put the link below. You've got to check it out. Easy for people.
So what he found was that he had 2 bottles of water, and on the first one he had a label that said love, and on the second one he had a label that said hate. And he left them there for a little bit, and then he got a magnifying glass and he magnified the particles of water in each bottle, and the particles of water in the bottle that had love on it looked like this really intricately drawn snowflake, like just beautiful and delicate and so much detail and just spectacular. And then when he looked at the molecules in the hate bottle, they looked like little blobs of mud, like they just, they just disintegrated for whatever reason. And the way that's important is that our bodies are like 80% water, 70-80% water. So those labels on the water bottles, they're your thoughts, and we're the water bottles. So if you've constantly got those, those hating thoughts going through your head, physiologically changes the cells in your body and how they work compared to the love, And I mean, I believe that it's important to give ourselves love and to love ourselves, and then life just starts to fall into place once you love yourself and respect yourself. Then kind of all flows on from there. But his other experiment was with the rice. So he did the love and the hate, then he had one ignore, and he left them with school kids for a month. And this was just steamed rice. You can do it yourself at home. There's plenty of YouTube videos to look at. So he had the love, hate, and the ignore, and then after a month you could see them kind of changing. The love looked like he could pretty much eat the rice. It was just beautiful and white, looked like it had been freshly cooked. And then the hate had got a bit of mold on it, it was starting to go a bit black. But the ignore had just gone completely black, completely moldy. So it's just, again, showing those thoughts. These kids were told each day to go in and say, I love you to the love jar. And, I hate you to this hate jar, and just totally ignore the third one. And it just shows the vibration, the power of our words. And it affects us, because if we're, depending on what words we're saying to ourselves, and to others, but, start off with yourself, see what's going on with your internal dialogue, and start to clean it up a little bit, because that affects our whole being on every level. So it's pretty powerful stuff.
I was really amazed when you were speaking about it, because I hadn't really heard that before. And so obviously we were talking about visualization, and we want to be able to give you some really great tips on how you can do that yourself, but also why that works so well. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So another piece of knowledge just to take away is that our brains don't know the difference between when we physically do something or when we visualize it, which I mentioned before about being an athlete and training and being able to do it visually. So Yeah, so I can pick up a pen, or I can close my eyes and imagine myself doing it, and my brain recognizes that I've done it, which is so powerful. Which is why when we, something maybe negative has happened in the past, and we keep reliving that, we keep getting that feeling of that, whatever feeling it gave us. Our brains relive it as if it's happening again now. So that's why, like Eckhart Tolle's message, I feel is so powerful, being in the present, because the past doesn't exist anymore. It's just the stories in our head that we keep telling ourselves, and the future is the same. It hasn't happened, so you can write your future as whatever you want it to be. So if you're looking at situations where say something's coming up and you're like, the workshop, when I first put it out there, I thought, we'll be lucky to get a few people, and it totally exceeded my expectations. But I started to go, no, people want this stuff, people want to know about it. I'm helping clients in my clinic and they love it, and there's people out there. I'm just going to attract those people. So I could have kind of sat there and just, seen an empty room and me standing there with no one there, which isn't such a nice feeling. So I could have chosen. I'm actually going to put the picture in this video so that you can see all the women that were there. It was such a great morning. It blew me away. Like just the energy there, and the questions and the interaction was just so beautiful. And we can choose to see that room full, or whatever it is in your life that you want to change. Have a think about how you're perceiving it. So one powerful thing I get my clients to do is, if they're stuck on something, so they've got this, this business they want to launch, and they're stuck on, like, I just can't do it. I get them to close their eyes, and just close your eyes and start to think, and just look and see what it looks like to you. Does it look like it's empty, and does that room look empty, or does it look like there's no one coming and buying your services or paying for your products? Or does it look like it's it's vibrant and there's people around, there's energy around? Like, what does it actually look like in your head? Because if we close our eyes and start to pay attention to that's kind of almost like a vision. It's almost like a projection of our subconscious, what we can see when we close our eyes and think about a situation. And then you can start to go, okay, well, that's not what I want to see. And then you can decide how you want to see it, and start seeing that, and just start. And again, even if you don't believe it, just start seeing it. Just, make it up in your head. Well, that's why vision boards are so powerful sometimes. I mean, once again, I've only really kind of gotten into that a little bit over the past couple of years. But it is such a powerful thing to sort of go, something, that's what I really want. And I'm going to put it up there and look at that every day. And also, I kind of think, definitely look at it every day and make that part of your subconscious, and make sure that you are working towards it, and then put the practical steps in place as well to try and make that happen. But I think that it's only when you believe that you can make it happen that those practical elements, come into play. So I completely understand that. See it any way you can. Even another powerful thing to do is to bring it into the now. So imagine that you're standing in front of that workshop, or imagine that you've got those clients. You're looking at your diary and it's all booked up, or make a fake diary at the start. It's booked up with names, and just keep looking at that because that's what you want to see happening. Or just see your product selling out, or so take a photo of it and put sold out on it, or whatever. Like actually see it. So when you can start to see your vision of what you want to achieve, bring it as if it's happening right now, and feel how that makes you feel. So the more you can actually bring your goals and your desires and whatever you want to achieve into the right now and feel it, the more you're going to attract that into your life from an energetic point of view. But if you can feel, the empowerment of that, and just that kind of feeling of that end result, then it makes it easier to take steps each day to do it. And it, it can be, when you're getting those blocks and those negative thoughts coming in, just be aware of it as soon as you can, and the more you practice it, the earlier you'll be able to step on it. So you might find that you have a thought for a couple of days and you go, oh, okay, I'm going to put this in place, and I'm going to visualize how I want to see it. And then next time that thought comes along, it might be there for one day, and then next time it might be there for 2 hours, and next time you'll hear it once and bang, you're on top of it. So it just takes a bit of practice and a bit of time, but it does happen, and it's
being conscious.
It's just being conscious and being aware and trying to be in that moment and listening. But also, when you hear those thoughts, acknowledge them and say, yep, I hear you. I'm not going to follow you today because that's not the path I want to go down. And then focus on how you want to feel. Do anything that makes you feel good. It might be you play with the kids, or go for a walk, or play with a dog, or go buy yourself some flowers, or play with some crystals, or whatever makes you feel good. And then start to visualize that end goal and how that's going to make you feel. And then it just shifts your energy, and it shifts your mind, and it just opens you up to, you know, that actually being a possibility. Because if all you're getting is negative and blocks, then you know, that goal probably, you know, is going to be so much harder to achieve, and might not even be on the radar in many, you know, in your head, even though, you know, you really, really want to achieve it. It's
amazing. Loved it. Such a beautiful
cool
soul,
stuff.
Steph. Love it. Really, really good. So guys, we're going to leave it there. I just really wanted to share Stephanie's story with you today because, as you know, I'm a very practical person, and I just loved the fact that we talked about, even though some of these things that you may not have heard about before, that you kind of think that seems fluffy, so much of this stuff is good stuff that can really, really help us to achieve what we want to achieve and really push us in the direction that we want to go, which is what the Connection Exchange is all about. And I just thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
It's been so much fun.
Pleasure. Okay guys, so we're going to have all the links below for you. I want to share Stephanie's details so that if you are in Melbourne or you're coming to Melbourne, you can definitely either check out her workshops or connect with you online. And obviously we're going to have all of the tips around what we talked about today in the blog as well. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Have an awesome day, and we'll see you very soon.
To the Epic Business Planning Summit on Wednesday, the 4th of March 2015 at Circa on the Deck in St Kilda, Melbourne. This is going to be an epic day for female entrepreneurs to really plan for 2015. Following the Epic Summit, we also have an evening event where Lisa will be talking about her 3 books, Daring and Disruptive Playbook, as well as her still to be released, Life and Love. Come along, have a glass of champagne, something to eat, and network with other passionate and inspiring women. Get your ticket today at theconnectionexchange.com.